Hello everybody, JSR Music here. Welcome back to another video, and today is a very special day for me. Um, Today is September 29th of 2019. It is also the day in the year of 2009 Breaking Benjamin released their fourth studio album of Dear Agony. Before I go into this review, which I finally am getting to, and the reason why it's taking so long for me to get this review out is because it's been very hard for me to get to it. This album means so much to me to this day, yet I want to be able to give it justice. Um, with that being said, most of my reviews I do on here is I don't really write scripts or notes to follow on it. I usually listen to it a couple times with fresh ideas, go and record and give my thoughts. Unlike the past two reviews I've done, with this one and last one being Divisions and Love Letter Kill Shot, I had notes below me over here, which I saw the tape on the desk here. But with this one, I wanted to actually put down real thoughts and notes, and I have about a 3-page document here. So if you see me tapping my arm up here, it's to make sure my tablet doesn't fall asleep. With that being said, Dear Agony, I cannot express how much this album has impacted my life. This album has been there for me in my darkest times and helped me express the way I'm feeling in ways I could not do myself. This album saved my life. Another reason why it's taken me a while to get to this album is because in past years and also recent years, I have known to be struggling with a lot of anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts a lot. And it got to a point where I nearly wanted to end it all. And listening to my favorite band, which many of you know is Breaking Benjamin, it's gotten to a point in my life where I realize that I have nothing left to even go on for. And there was a few things that made me happy anymore, and Breaking Benjamin was one of those things that did make me happy. And it got to a point where I realized that I needed to find some way to cope with this, because my coping methods in the past were not the best. I resulted to a lot of self-harm and resulted to a lot of unhealthy ways to cope with my issues, and not going to people who understood, because not many people did. Not many of my friends did understand. But with this being said, every single second of this album is complete perfection. Even the more radio rock type songs are even amazing. And like, for example, like the instant fan classic and amazing track of I Will Not Bow, the second track on the album, which I'll be going by track soon. I just want to give an overview of why this album means so much to me. And it's songs like this, which was one of the very first Breaking Benjamin songs I ever heard, right behind Angels Fall and So Cold, is from friends and on the radio and family. And it got to, I realized that this band had a much deeper connection to me than I ever realized and thought it could. With these songs that go on more and more, it leads on to some of the more eerie and haunting sounding tracks of like What Lies Beneath and Fade Away, the opening track, and what lies between like a mid area of the album, to the really hard hitting and raw emotional tracks of the title track Dear Agony, and about another one right just like What Lies Beneath, Anthem of the Angels, which to this day still gets me emotional to a point where I want to cry, but it's like I can't. And I honestly, I cannot forget about some of the heaviest tracks Breaking Benjamin's ever produced on this album, such as Crawl and Hopeless. And this album has such a wide range of depth and emotion. It's something really, really hard to actually explain. It's something really, really hard to put to words for me because of this album meaning so much to me. I don't even know where to begin with words. It began with a song I heard from my brother-in-law on Dark Before Dawn, to me going into their discography more and more and becoming such a large fan, and the honor of being able to meet these guys in person. It was the best night of my life. Being on stage for the song that saved my life, Dear Agony, was a moment I didn't think I'd ever be around for. When I noticed that they were bringing out old songs for that last tour I went to back in March of 2019, I realized that there's a song on there that last time I know they performed it was in their acoustic tour in like 2016. And when I saw that, I'm like, no fucking way. They're not playing this on the day I'm going to see them and meet them. And it gave me a spark of happiness to know that I'm going to be able to meeting the guys that wrote the music that saved my life, and the music of that got me to where I am today, and to become the person who I am today. But it's when I heard the opening riff and the drums on that night, it made me realize that I am not alone anymore. I have people who care about me. I have people who want to help me. I have people that do help me, and I have, most of all, this band that helped me through so much in my life, and I am forever thankful for this band. And this is another reason why it took me so long to get to this review, is because I knew I'd be getting emotional about it, and I haven't even gotten to talk about the tracks yet. But Dear Agony is without a doubt the best Breaking Benjamin album they've ever released. Yes, their other albums are good, and Dark Before Dawn is amazing, and Phobia is great, no, but honestly, Phobia, people say that's their best album, but no. I love Phobia just as much as the next person, but honestly, I find it to be kind of overrated in areas at times. And it just... It comes to a point where it's like, this album is so unknown to the fan, not to the fan base, but to many people who like, oh, I know Breaking Benjamin, what song do you know? Oh, Diary of Jane. Yeah, it's their number one song, but it's like, this album is so, it's just, oh my god, I can't even describe it. But we're gonna go on to the actual review portion now of this video. We're gonna go by track now, and just talk about each track and what I feel about it. Opening with Fade Away, the first track on the album. Probably honestly the best album opener from Breaking Benjamin, right aside from So Cold from 2004. Those are so neck and neck for me. But it's So Cold that gets the that gets the edge by like this much. But it's like they're so neck and neck with me. It's so hauntingly beautiful yet heavy at the same time, and every time I can hear the emotion in Ben's voice, it's so fucking beautiful. I don't even know how else to describe it except for those words right there. This album really shows the depth of what someone can go through in one lifetime. And in this one lifetime, losing somebody super important to you, which is what I'm going to get to a little bit later on, and how the music and how the things you can write or listen to can impact you to a point where it's like, okay, if I write this, I can impact somebody else's life, and it could be amazing. After that, we move on to the second track of the album, which is I Will Not Bow. I Will Not Bow is probably the most radio rock song they've released, which is not a bad thing. They do radio rock very, very well. And after 10 years of this song 10 years after this song existing, it still holds up so very well. It's very catchy and very enjoyable. And it's like whenever I hear it live, I've heard it live 3 times now, and it's just, it gets better and better every single time I hear it. And it's just like, it's, people say it's like, oh, it's one of the best songs, but there's so many other songs on this album that are so underrated. This whole album is underrated, and it gets, it needs more attention. Like, yeah, people say, like, I will not bow. When you say, oh, the words Dear Agony, you probably think of, oh, I will not bow. Amazing song. But there's so much more to get into this album and to understand and to know and just feel the emotion in it. Moving on to track number 3, probably the most underrated song on Dear Agony or anything they've ever released. A lot of this album is very underrated, and I will stand by that to this day. And that is Crawl, as I mentioned earlier, some of their heaviest songs they've produced from the original lineup. And this song is so underrated on Dear Agony, and just overall so amazing. It's so well written. It ranks up there in heaviness, as I mentioned before, on Dear Agony and Hopeless, and I cannot fathom, it's like, why isn't this song not known, not listened to more, not talked about more? And I love every single second of it, and every single moment I hear Ben's voice and the instrumentation from Aaron Fink and Chad's drums, and it's just Aaron's bass, and it's just it's so beautiful, and it's so amazing and so well written. I love it to bits. This, as I mentioned earlier, this album does rank up there with such a nice wide range of depth and emotion, and it's just, I can barely put into words of how I feel, how much I love this album to bits. And I've listened to it on repeat so many times, I've lost count, and I'm still doing it today. And I to put a word to it, actually not a word, I mean a number to it, I've probably listened to this album well over 500 times, without a doubt. And counting. Without a doubt, I've listened to this album that many times. But I'm going on a tangent here. Back to talking about the tracks. Give Me a Sign. This is one of the tracks that got me through some of my hardest times. Listening to it and hearing the Ben's emotion in Ben's voice gives me chills every single time I listen to it. And it's hard to describe of how much I love this track, and it shows, if you want to have a good representation of the song, go watch the music video for this song. It's just so beautiful and so emotional, but yet so kind of dark in areas too. This whole album is, and it's easily one of my favorite tracks off the album. And I've listened to this song on repeat many times, as well as the whole album, and I just can't even describe how much work and emotion Ben has put into this song, and I love it to bits. Building off of Give Me a Sign, we are found with the second heaviest track on the album, or probably actually the heaviest, Hopeless. The best way I can tell you about this song is it depicts a story of failure and feeling alone and trying to hold on while you feel like all your demons are tearing you apart from the inside out and dragging you down. That is the best way I can describe this song. There is no better words I can use for this song. That is how I feel whenever I hear this song come on my radio or on my playlist, or I just listen to the album in general. Every time, that is what I feel. And that is what I have felt when listening to this album and this song comes up. Another track, what I mentioned earlier in this video, was What Lies Beneath. With What Lies Beneath, this track. Oh my god. I cannot believe there is not more people. I don't hear more people talking about this track. And I've listened to this song on repeat probably more times than most on this album. I've lost count. The track is so good. It's so well written. It's a song for me when I'm feeling like shit, is when I listen to it. And it's so hauntingly beautiful, with the emotional verses and the choruses and the screams perfectly placed. Oh, I love it. I wish I could say more to describe this album, how I feel about certain tracks, but it's songs like this that makes it so hard to describe into words. And it's this kind of song as I listen to as I mentioned before, when I feel like shit, or when I feel like the world is just on my shoulders and against me, and I just can't do it anymore. On to the next track off the album, which is to date the best, and I will stand by this till the day I die, the best Breaking Benjamin ballad they've ever released. And this is the song, of course, I am talking about, of Anthem of the Angels. This song has brought me to tears so many times when listening to it. It just, especially because about 6 or 7 years back, I honestly have lost track at this point, because it's been so long since he's been gone, when my grandfather passed away. I didn't, because as being younger when I was now, I didn't really understand the concept of someone being gone until you see them again. And it kind of hit me one day when listening to this song, is when I just couldn't, I could barely breathe. And I could barely even fathom of how much this song meant to me, with coping with every year when the anniversary of my grandfather passing away. I just can't. I just can't anymore. Every time I hear it when that day comes around, it makes me remember of the good memories I had. It makes me remember that he was an amazing man, and I know that I'll have him forever in my heart. And this song is a perfect reminder for that. Sorry. On to the next track. I just needed to take a small break. But, another amazing track on this album is probably another one of the radio rock songs they've released, and it's still amazing, and that's Lights Out. Lights Out is probably one of their best tracks off the album in heaviness area, and it's one of the heavier tracks probably that ranks up there with Hopeless Crawl, and of course this song here. A very instant classic of the band, very catchy, very, very memorable. when, like, hey, Dear Agony, oh, I remember that song, Lights Out, that's really good, really heavy, very catchy, very as memorable song. And that's really all I have to say on Lights Out. On to the song that impacted my life and brought me to where I am today. Dear Agony, title track of this album. This song, on multiple occasions, has brought me into an emotional breakdown. It has brought me to tears many times, and this is the reason why it took me so long to get this review out for you people. I tried recording this video multiple times in the past, and I got to Anthem of the Angels and this point here, and I couldn't record anymore, and I just scrapped the video. 2 other times I've tried recording this video. One last month, and then one a couple months ago. And it took me so long to write and record this review for you because I wanted to give it justice. But about a year or so back, I'm not going to go into too much detail. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do suffer with a lot of depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. Doing better now that I have people to talk to and I've had this album within my life for a while now. But I had considered taking my life on multiple occasions, and I almost went through it. But then, this particular song came on one day. And it came on as I was going to do it, and I fell on the ground. I could hardly breathe. That was an emotional mess. It was an emotional mess. I fell on the ground. I got up to my knees. I could barely breathe. I realized from this day forward I owe everything, my life, everything I want to be, everything I aspire to be, to Ben Burnley. This is the man who wrote the song that saved me from taking my own life. And I don't know however I will ever be able to thank this man, but if ever the event I do be able to, it will be a dream come true. Yeah, I've met him before, but I couldn't talk to him for a while and express how thankful I am for him. But it's songs like this that make me know that I have a purpose and I have a reason to be here, and that the reason I couldn't go through is because I was born to be there to help people who couldn't deal with this themselves. And I owe so much to Ben Burnley and Breaking Benjamin for bringing this music into my life. I am forever thankful. But we're gonna go on to the next track here because we're almost finished with the review today. Into the Nothing, the second to last track on the album. Okay. I'm gonna start with describing this album by reading off the chorus. Into the nothing, faded and weary, I won't leave and let you fall behind. Live for the dying, heaven hear me, I know we can make it out alive. The chorus on this song is so amazing, I can barely describe it how much I love it. It tells me that, this is what I get from this song, it tells me that no matter how much shit that you and the closest person that you care about have gone through, you won't leave them, and you won't let them fall behind and die and just be alone in this dark world. And you won't let them and you'll always be by their side, and you know in the end you guys can make it out of this world and out of this shit, out of the darkest areas together, and be on top of everything. That is why this song is so amazing, and it needs to be known about more. And I can't believe of how underrated this song actually is. I love it to bits, every single second of it, as I keep saying about all this album, because that's how I feel about it. On to the final track of this album, which is the best album closer that Breaking Benjamin has ever done, without a doubt. Nothing competes to it at all. Of course, I am talking about the track Without You. This song in Dear Agony is some of, if not the best songs that has been ever written to impact my life. This is another song that goes hand in hand with Anthem of the Angels being there because of my grandpa. I'm gonna go off and read the actual chorus real quick. It's say something new, I have nothing left. I can't face the dark without you. There's nothing left to lose, the fighting never ends. I can't face the dark without you. The chorus is so beautifully written in absolute perfection in the way that it's telling me that after time and time and time again, after being beaten and broke down, and that you have nothing left for this world to offer, after being stripped apart, torn down, and just beaten bone dry, after losing so much, you wish you could be with that person that gave you light in your life. And in the end of all of this, I am forever thankful for this album. Ben, thank you so much for being such an incredible person. And I am forever thankful for you existing and you writing this album. I don't even know how to even describe how to even put this to words. But I am forever thankful for this band. I'm forever thankful for this album. This album and this band have shaped me who I am today, and have put me in a mindset that I am not alone in this world. There are people who care about me. There is music to help me express how I feel. And if I ever got the chance to ever personally thank all of the band members for existing and putting this music into my life, if I could just talk to one or two of them or any of them, I don't care, I would be eternally grateful. And as always, everybody, I am JSR Music. I'm going to be posting more regularly now, as much as I can. And as always, guys, keep rocking.